Hey everyone, welcome back to In the Alley. My name is Cody. Glad you guys are back for another video. We have a stacked Saturday preview to do here. 5 games. I'm just going to dive right into it. Let's go. Alright, so these are going to probably be a little rushed, and the reason why is because I want to get this out before the first game kicks off. Speaking of that, we have a 5 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff on overnight. We have the 8-6 Orlando Pirates taking on the the 8-6 Orlando Pirates, 2-4 on the road, taking on the San Antonio Gunslingers, 4-9, 2-4 at home. And this one has some pretty big playoff implications for both sides. In the event that if Orlando wins this and Fishers loses their game against Quad City, which we'll preview later, then Orlando's going to clinch a playoff spot. And on the flip side, if San Antonio loses this game and Tucson beats Arizona, which we will preview in a later spot, then Tucson will clinch the final spot in the West. So this is a huge, huge game to start us off when it comes to Week 18. So let's take a look at the season leaders for both sides here. For Orlando, Paxton De Laurent, 225 of 319, 2,309 passing yards, 44 touchdowns to 11 interceptions. For the Gunslingers, Joaquin Collazo, who I'm assuming won't start, but we'll talk about that in a little bit, 51 of 87, 624 passing yards, 9 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. Rushing leaders includes Puka Williams, 101 rushing attempts, 537 rushing yards, and 19 rushing touchdowns. Zach Calzada, the quarterback, 19 attempts, 88 rushing yards, and 3 rushing touchdowns for the Gunslingers. Receiving leaders, Nyquan Murray, the former Gunslinger, now turned Orlando Pirate, 54 catches, 667 receiving yards, and 13 receiving touchdowns. And Glenn Gibbons for San Antonio, 38 catches, 528 receiving yards, 10 receiving touchdowns. As we take a look at the injury report, there are a lot of injuries for Orlando. 3 have popped up on the short-term injured reserve, and 2 of them were in their previous game from last week. Destin Mack and Jerron Manning both got hurt, and then actually all 3, because Mike Mason got hurt too. He's on season injured reserve. So all 3 guys that got hurt in the previous game, they're all out for at least this week, if not longer. Add to that, Kelly Akaharai, didn't pronounce that correctly, but that's okay. He is added there. So 4 out of those 6, and there's plenty more on season injured reserve that just do not make the cut that were injured prior to this as well. For San Antonio, they just have one addition here. Trent Hudson has been added to short-term injured reserve, so another wide receiver hits that injured list for the Gunslingers, and overall, both teams just seem really battered and bruised at this point, so we'll see how that goes with the war of attrition. Let's take a look at our game odds here presented by DraftKings. We have a -3. No hook on this one, so straight -3 for Orlando on the road and +3 for San Antonio at home. Over-under of 83.5 with moneyline -155 for the Pirates and +130 for San Antonio if you think the Gunslingers can pull off the home upset. Again, you look at those records, one team 2-4 on the road, one team 2-4 at home. So someone's going to get a third win, whether it's on the road or at home, and someone's going to get their 5th loss as well. Game information takes us to San Antonio, Texas at the Freeman Coliseum. Again, 5 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff on overnight. And our series head-to-head, you wouldn't think of it, but it is true. San Antonio leads this series 2-0, but they haven't met in a couple of years. Last meeting that these two had, Week 17, all the way back in 2024, with San Antonio getting that victory 58-55. So new teams, new coaches, new everything from what they had last season to this season, and that's where we kind of have it. So let's go take a look at that 25-man roster, our bet and our prediction, and we got 4 more previews to do after this. All right, let's take a look at the 25-man rosters as they are on the screen in front of us. Starting with the away side first. For the Orlando Pirates, James Blackman, Paxton De Laurent are your quarterbacks. De Laurent going to be the starter, James Blackman going to be the backup. Puka Williams being your lone running back, so he'll have to give it the go. And the wide receivers include Nyquan Murray, Teo Redding, Thomas Owens, and Ja'Kai Douglas. I'm assuming all 4 are going to suit up, with the top 3 being your starters, as they've practically been the entire season. Offensive line includes Nick Jones, Darda Lee, Temi Ejira-Tutu, Cole De Magistris, and Jeremiah Crawford. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Jones, Lee, and Crawford have been the starters for a little while, but Ejira-Tutu has suited up as well. I don't think I've seen De Magistris suit up just yet, so we'll see how that goes. Defensively on the line, Deontay Anderson, DJ Dale, and Devontae O'Malley are your 3 linemen. Not a lot of depth unless they've got a linebacker dropping down, or if they move an offensive lineman over to the defensive line. We'll see how that kind of goes. Linebackers include Hector Johnson and Jay Person. And in the secondary, Kendall Buller, new signing, Markel Roby, Dexter Lawson, Johnny Harris, new signing, and Leon O'Neal. So with that, let's talk linebacker really quick. Jay Person, most likely the starter, but Hector Johnson has started and played there as well too, so we'll see how that goes. But in the secondary, being hit with the injury bug, probably Roby, Lawson, O'Neal, and then we get to see who's going to start between Bowler or Johnny Harris. My bet, just being a little bit taller, is on Harris, but it's not going to shock me whatsoever if Kendall Bowler gets the start. Kicker is Josh Gable, and that's your 25-man roster for your Orlando Pirates. To the San Antonio side of things, Zach Calzada and Joaquin Collazo are your starting quarterbacks. My bet is still on Zach Calzada to be the starter, Collazo to be the backup. No running backs on the roster for San Antonio, but in the wide receivers, Deion Cook, Glenn Gibbons, Deion McShane, Austin Upshaw, Derek Rose, and Zach Patterson. Patterson being your hybrid wide receiver running back style player, more or less the guy to line up next to the quarterback if they need him to. Otherwise, your best bet is probably going to be Deion Cook and Glenn Gibbons and Austin Upshaw being the starters. Derek Rose will probably suit up too. Haven't seen Deion McShane in a little bit, so we'll see how that kind of pertains. Offensive line includes AJ Vaipulu, Cameron Foster, Malik Williams, and Trayvon Newsome. I think all four are going to suit up. I think your three are probably going to be Vaipulu, Williams, and let's go with Foster. But I think Trayvon Newsome will be in there as well. Defensive line includes Fialaga Paletti, Octavius Oxendine, Terry Beckner Jr., and James Nimwaya. Paletti has had different numbers. I think he's had like 23 and stuff like that. He has started. He has played special teams, so if Paletti does get the start, I think it'll be him, Beckner, and Nimwaya. Oxendine will probably suit up as well. Your only linebacker is Kendrick Gant, and into the secondary, Riverius Rivers, Chris Chukwuneke, Marcus Floyd, Larry Brooks III, Jabari Hawkins, and Xavier Tolliver. With six of those, four of them are going to start, probably Rivers, Chukwuneke, Floyd, Larry Brooks, but don't count out Hawkins or Tolliver. They'll probably suit up at some point as well if they only go with one and they go with five defensive backs, or if they suit up all six. However the strategy is going to go. Finally, your kicker is Tyler Huddle, and that is your 25-man roster for your San Antonio Gunslingers. That was your 25-man roster for your Orlando Pirates, and with that, we need to go take a look at our bet and our prediction, as we got four more previews to carry over after this. All right, we need to take a look at our bet and our prediction for this one for Orlando and San Antonio. Minus 155 to the money line. I don't know why the money line is the way it is, but my strategy is always, if it's under 200 odds or minus 200 odds or lower going into plus territory, and I like that pick, I'm going to take it. So I'm going to take Orlando. They're the better team. They should win, and it should be a little bit of a nice payout when it comes to that. I don't necessarily trust the spread. I know Orlando has been not so good on the road in the last couple of seasons, but San Antonio, they just have not had a good season overall. They haven't had the last good, really, couple of seasons since they've joined the Indoor Football League. They are still in playoff hunt. This is pretty much a win, a must-win, because if you lose this and Tucson wins in any capacity between now and the end of the season, Tucson clinches. So practically for San Antonio, you have to win from here on out and finish 7-9 and hope that some way, somehow, Tucson does not get any other win to get win number 8. Simple as that. For Orlando, you can afford this loss, but at the same time, it gets really dire if you do. Getting to win number 9 helps solidify things, especially with 7 losses for Fishers and 8 losses for Quad City. It practically eliminates Quad City, depending on what happens with Tulsa and their go-about, but overall, yeah. Let's talk game, though. I do think both teams are going to throw the ball. The over could be in play here because we both know the teams are going to sling the ball around. There's no running back really for San Antonio, and we know Puka Williams can bust off some really nice runs when he needs to. The return game for Puka Williams can also be a factor in there as well. And I do like Orlando's defense, but with that secondary being banged up, that could help out San Antonio with this one. So I do see why the spread could be the way that it is, but I do think Orlando's able to pull this one out. I do. Taking a look at Orlando's offense versus San Antonio's defense, you get to have Riverius Rivers and Marcus Floyd, the former Pirate, suit up against, or stack up against the trio that is Murray, Redding, and Owens. And we'll see how that kind of pertains to it. Can Kendrick Gant get after Puka Williams? How do they attack that running game for the San Antonio defensive side? San Antonio's defense has been pretty good in this season that they just, there's a point in time where they're just not scoring 40 points, man, and we had a celebration for when they finally did. Is this another one? Can they drag them down into the mud and stop them from scoring? We'll see how it kind of goes, or at least force turnovers on downs, things along those lines. On to the flip side, again, some injuries, a lot of injuries to that defense of Orlando. Is that something that San Antonio can exploit? Because if they can, then yes, we could have a nice little back and forth affair here, because San Antonio, as I mentioned, back against the wall. Can they make the most of it? Can we see what Zach Calzada can do? Because we've seen really good Zach Calzada. We've seen really bad Zach Calzada. Can we get either a mixture of that or more to the good side? Or is it just going to be more, hey, we're just going to throw blitzes at you, blitz, and throw you off your game? He can take off. He is the leading rusher, albeit I don't know how much that truly means in the thick of things. But, yeah, my prediction for this one, 49-40 in favor of Orlando. Like I said, I think they pull out the victory. It could be a nice little back-and-forth game, but I think Orlando, at the very end of it, they just make a couple more plays, turnovers, deuces, field goals, whatever it could be, that just kind of stop San Antonio, and they take the victory. Like I said, Orlando, they know what it's like to be kind of in this playoff grind. I'm not saying San Antonio doesn't, but Orlando's had to fight for the playoffs before. San Antonio's only had to do it like once, because last season they were 5-11, so there wasn't really much hope there. So they are right up against it, and if they lose this game and Tucson somehow wins in any of the next couple of weeks, they're out of the playoff hunt one more time. So I do think Orlando, what they've been able to accomplish over the last couple of years, they're also pretty pissed. They missed the playoffs last year. They don't want to do it again. So give me Orlando minus 155, 49-40 as your final score. With that, we got 4 more previews to take care of. All right, we need to take a look at preview number 2, and this one is another rivalry renewed kind of thing, but it's been pretty one-sided as of late. 6 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff on Yahoo Sports. Green Bay, 12-2, 4-2 on the road, taking on the 1-12 Iowa Barnstormers, who are 1-5 at home. Rivalry renewed, but like I said, Green Bay has pretty much been the main team here. I'd have to go and look and see how many games that they've won. I cannot remember the last time Iowa won a game in this series. They play each other a lot, three to 4 times a season, so I can't remember the last time Iowa won, because I think it's been just clean sweeps for Green Bay in the last couple of years. But still, playoff implications of this, if Green Bay wins, I think they lock up the number 1 seed in the East, and they have home field advantage throughout the entire Eastern Conference playoffs. And then that's pretty much it. There's no home field for the neutral site championship game, so there you go. Iowa, the only thing they can do is play spoiler. They're out of the playoff hunt. Not really anything else. They're playing for pride. That's where we have it. Season leaders, Liam Thompson for the Blizzard, 155 of, is that 260? Yeah, 260. My eyes are playing tricks on me. 2,012 passing yards, 45 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. For Iowa, Dante Avila Santos, which we'll see if he's the starting quarterback or not, 45 of 87, 526 yards, 10 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. Thompson's your leading rusher for Green Bay as well, 118 attempts, 526 yards rushing, which he's got the same amount of yards rushing as Avila Santos does passing, which is crazy. 19 rushing touchdowns. And David Elder, 91 attempts, 368 rushing yards, and 6 rushing touchdowns. Let's take a look at the receivers here. Drayshawn Hudson, 44 catches, 655 yards, and 11 receiving touchdowns. And DeMonte Martin, 33 catches, 399 yards, and 7 receiving touchdowns. Just 1 receiving yard, and he breaks 400, so I think that's a pretty good season, all things considered, for what Iowa's gone through. Injury report for both sides. For Green Bay, we've got a couple of additions. Isaac Ross and Brodarius Lewis have been added to the short-term injured reserve list. I think they might have gotten a couple of guys off the injured reserve. We'll talk about that in the 25-man roster, but you do lose one of your better return men and a depth piece on that defensive line. For Iowa, Robert Malcolm has been added to the short-term injured reserve list, so that is a little bit of a hit to the offensive line, defensive line. I think he plays both sides. So, yeah, there's a little bit of depth lost there in the trenches for actually both teams with Lewis and Malcolm. Game odds presented by DraftKings here, minus 21.5. So we're on a streak of like double-digit point favorites, if I'm not mistaken, for Iowa. If not a streak, then 5 out of 6 games or whatever. Like they need some help. Plus 21.5 at home for the Barnstormers, and we have an over-under of 87.5, so they are expecting a decent amount of points in this game. Moneyline minus 1,450 to the Blizzard and plus 850 if you expect an upset to happen in Des Moines. Speaking of Des Moines, we are at the Casey's Center in Des Moines, Iowa. Again, 6 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff. This game is on Yahoo Sports, so we get to see that beautiful arena under the lights with the Yahoo broadcast, which is dope. Like I said, I've been here earlier this season. It's a great place to watch. I advise everyone to go, if you're in an area, go watch an indoor game. Seriously. Head-to-head, this is, I think, the most played rivalry between the two. Like I said, they play 3 to 4 times a season. 20-15 in favor of Green Bay, with their last meeting being Week 6, with them just kind of obliterating them 55-19. And they did have the win earlier this season, which was the game I was at the Casey Center. And so they're 2-0, hoping for a clean 3-0 sweep for the 2026 campaign, are the Blizzard. So with that, we need to go take a look at our 25-man roster, our bet, and our prediction. And we got to go through previews 3, 4, and 5. All right, let's take a look at the 25-man rosters as they are on the screen in front of us. Quarterbacks. Let's start with the away side. Sorry, I forget that part of my speech. Starting with the away side first. Cole Stenstrom, Liam Thompson are your quarterbacks. Thompson going to be the starter, Stenstrom being the backup. Running backs. DeMylan Brown is off short-term injured reserve. I don't know if they're going to throw him right into the fray, especially with how well Kyrie Robinson is rushing. So expect Robinson to be the guy, and Brown might suit up. He might not. We'll see how that kind of goes. Wide receivers include Drayshawn Hudson, Sylvia Campbell, Trayvon Alexander, and Jack Studer. I expect all 4 of them to suit up, with Campbell coming off of short-term injured reserve as well. So between Campbell and Brown, we'll see if both won, how it kind of goes, but they'll need a little bit of depth at the skill positions in this one. Offensive line includes Jaime Navarro, Dakota White, Liam Wertman II, Raheem Anderson II, and Andrew Carter. Again, kind of take your pick on that offensive line. Andrew Carter is going to be your anchor. I've seen Dakota White, Jaime Navarro both start. I think Raheem Anderson has started. It's kind of Wertman's kind of the odd man out, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see how that kind of goes. My bet is probably on Navarro, Anderson, and Carter. White could start. We'll see how that goes. Defensive line includes Tavon Grant, Jonathan Ross, Allen Henry coming off of short-term injured reserve as well, Jaquan Griffin, and Sean Mustin to round that out. And again, take your pick of the litter, because they've all kind of started at different points throughout the season. Grant, Ross, and Mustin. Does Allen Henry come back in and get the start? We'll see how they kind of rotate it and who suits up and how. Andre White's your own linebacker, and in the secondary, Marcus Hillman, Clayton Batten, Dorian Davis, Fred Flavors, and Najee Snyder. Again, take your pick on the starters with that one. Hillman, Davis, Flavors, and Snyder. Batten probably being the substitute. Your kicker is Andrew Mevis, and that's your 25-man roster for your Green Bay Blizzard. Over to the Iowa side of things, your quarterbacks. Yes, there's 3. They're doing the New Mexico method. Noah Bodden, Aaron Aiken, and Dante Avila Santos are your quarterbacks. Take your pick, man. Bodden has gotten the start most recently. Avila Santos has had to come in relief of that. Aaron Aiken has been a starter in the Indoor Football League and other leagues throughout his tenure throughout the indoor game and arena game. So take your pick, man. I don't know who starts. My bet is if you're signing Aaron Aiken, you're probably going to start him. But don't be surprised, the curse of Dante Avila Santos. Any quarterback that started over him has gotten hurt or benched, and he's had to come into play. So I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Running backs include David Elder and Najee Bryant-Lele. Wide receivers include DeMonte Martin, Josh Simmons, Curtis Ravenel Jr., and Jalal Dean. We'll see who suits up. I have not seen Najee Bryant-Lele. He's played very sparingly since the start of the season. Jalal Dean has been getting some playing time. All 4 of those wide receivers will probably suit up and play, so we'll see how it all goes. Offensive line includes Tyler Castaneda, McLean Doja, Deontay Graham, and John McKinney. Again, it wouldn't shock me if all 4 of them suit up. Probably Castaneda, Doja, and Graham, but McKinney has played. I think he might have even started the previous game, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to pull the 25-man rosters up. But either way, I think all 4 will play. Defense includes Ravonte Blau, Byron Mathis, Jakari Larman, and Daniel Williams. Again, kind of take your pick. Probably Mathis, Blau, and Larman. We'll see if Williams gets in there. It's just... they've rotated that defensive line. There have been injuries, everything else included. We'll see how it goes. Linebackers Nathan Rosario Santos, no depth there, so he's got to be the guy unless they have someone else. And in the secondary, Trenton McGee, John Adams Jr., DeVary Jones, new signee out of Ferris State, Trayvon Pope, Ryan Nixon, and Richie Coffey. So again, 6 defensive backs, 4 of them are going to start. Probably McGee, Adams, Pope, and Coffey. We'll see if Jones and Nixon suit up, how they do the substitutes with all that. Your kicker is Jan Bogdan, and that is your 25-man roster for your Iowa Barnstormers. That was your 25-man roster for your Green Bay Blizzard. And with that, we need to go take a look at our bet and our prediction, and then we got 3 more previews to take care of. All right, bet and prediction time for Green Bay and Iowa. Minus 21.5 for Green Bay. I feel like they can kind of roll out of bed and beat this spread. The over could be in play. Maybe really the under could be in play here, depending on if Green Bay wants to take their foot off the gas or how much Iowa wants to score. A lot of this comes down to who's the quarterback. Who's going to start a quarterback for Iowa, and how does that offense go? Because like I said, there have been multiple times where David Alders looks really good running. He's been really good in the return game, and some of the wide receivers have popped off, but who's playing quarterback? Because depending on who that quarterback is, they've gone through a rotating door, or revolving door is the better way of saying it. A revolving door of quarterbacks this season, just trying to find the right one. I don't know who's going to start. Does Aiken give you a better chance to win? Does Avila Santos? Does Noah Bodden? How do we go about it? And if there's 3 quarterbacks on that roster, we know one of them is probably going to be inactive. I just don't see any way they suit up all 3. I just don't. And then you see what Green Bay did throughout the season, what they've done last week, beating Orlando, again, a couple weeks ago, throwing up 83 points. There's a reason why the spread is as large as it is. Yes, Isaac Ross is on short-term injured reserve, but that doesn't really negate any of the firepower that Green Bay has. Man, and at the end of the day, I truly, truly think Green Bay has what it takes to cover this spread. The only way I just see it not going that way, to be honest, is if Green Bay either starts Stenstrom or they play really conservative of just we want to stay healthy for the final couple of weeks of the season going into the playoffs. Iowa has nothing to lose. Do they want to come out and kind of shock the world a little bit? Are we fine giving up some points? How do we kind of go about it? I just don't necessarily. I don't know how this game's going to go, I'll be honest, because like I said, I can just see it. A typical Green Bay just does what Green Bay does. Nothing special. They're not trying to run up the score. They just play their game, and they can cover the spread. I think that offensive Green Bay can attack this defense, especially that defensive line, and really kind of get after it. On the flip side, Iowa's defense, the secondary is all right, but then you have to account for Liam Thompson running. You have to account for Kyrie Robinson running, and they've had some trouble in the past. Not just with Green Bay, but kind of overall with all that. So, yeah, you flip it to the other side too. Iowa's offense, like I've mentioned multiple times, what is it? Are you going to run it to establish the pass? Or are you going to pass it to establish the run? How are you going to go about it? And yes, there have been a couple of injuries and things like that to Green Bay's defense, but that defensive line is still lethal. The linebacker position, a little bit in flux, but they've shorn it up with a previous player. And in that secondary, yes, they've been hit a little bit, but they still have their mainstays. And I think that's going to benefit Green Bay. My prediction for this one, 56-31 in favor of the Blizzard. I just think that they are a way more capable team, man. I do. They've already beaten them twice. They've beaten them in Iowa. Like I said, not to toot my own horn, I was at that game, and there was that backdoor cover that Iowa was able to get. But at the same time, man, I just think Green Bay is going to use this as their, hey, we're just going to kind of roll out of bed. Even if we take our foot off the gas, we can still eclipse that because our defense will still turn the ball over. Our offense will still get you on your heels. We'll still keep it going. Does Iowa have an answer? We'll see how it kind of goes. How organized is Iowa? Because at some points, Iowa's looked organized. They do have a victory. There are some games that have gotten away from them. Other times, Iowa has looked just completely out of sync. I've not necessarily seen that too much from Green Bay. Even in their losses, their 2 losses to Quad City, I have not seen Green Bay look out of sorts. They've been able to gather themselves, but for 4 quarters, Green Bay has never looked bad. Iowa has. So I'm leaning heavily towards Green Bay. 56-31 and a minus 21.5 spread. So there you have it. Let's go take a look at preview number 3. All right, we need to take a look at preview number 3. And this might be game of the week for at least Saturday. I'll talk about games of the week on Sunday when that day comes. But this one, very big, heavy playoff implications here. We have a 7 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff on overnight. I'm amazed that this game is not on Yahoo Sports with how much this... and again, you got to stagger the starts and do all that. But The 9-4 Jacksonville Sharks, 4-3 on the road, taking on the 8-5 Tulsa Oilers, who are 4-2 at home. Oh, buddy, this should be a very, very good game because Tulsa in the midst of a 6-game winning streak and Jacksonville in the midst of a 3-game losing streak themselves. So can they turn the tables? Can we start a winning streak for Jacksonville and a losing streak for Tulsa? Or are those streaks going to continue with 7 wins for Tulsa and 4 losses for the Sharks? We'll find out. This also comes down to a home playoff game. Tulsa wins. They don't jump Jacksonville. They're both 9-5, but based on strength of schedule, the head-to-head is 1-1. But the strength of schedule still favors the Sharks, so Jacksonville still needs to get a little bit of help from someone else to get Jacksonville another loss for them to jump into that 2 seed if they are able to continue their winning ways. But it's a topic for another day. Let's take a look at our season leaders for both sides here. Sammy Edwards for the Sharks, 44 of 64, 462 passing yards, 11 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. And TJ Edwards for the Oilers, 192 of 303, 2,031 passing yards, 45 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. Rushing leaders for both sides, Jimmy Robinson, 135 rushing attempts, 417 rushing yards, and 19 rushing touchdowns. And Caleb Ramseur, 88 rushing attempts, 437 rushing yards, and 8 rushing touchdowns. What's kind of crazy to me is Ramseur has more rushing yards than Jimmy Robinson, even though he's played plenty of less games, because Robinson's been there the entire season. So it's kind of crazy how the stats work. Receiving leaders, Markel Wade, 44 catches, 513 receiving yards, and 9 receiving touchdowns. And to caveat that, Jimmy Robinson he's the second receiver for Jacksonville right now. He's been battling Markel Wade for that top spot in the receiving. So, yeah, it's not to discredit Jimmy Robinson in anything. Jermaine Smith, though, 83 catches, 893 yards, and 26 receiving touchdowns. He is so close to 1,000. And if he can get into 107 receiving yards between now and the end of the season, he's going to bat 1,000 when it comes to receiving yards. So that's really good. He's 17 catches away from 100 catches as well. We'll see how many touchdowns he can do if he can get over 30. There you go. Injury report for Jacksonville. Only one to add, Anthony Evelyn. Otherwise, everything's kind of status quo. We've got a guy coming off of short-term injured reserve. We'll talk about that in a second. And for Tulsa, we've got a couple of additions. Nusi Milani and Frederick Malay have been added, but a couple of guys have been taken off. That's going to help them out. And again, we'll talk about that in time with the 25-man roster. Let's take a look at our betting odds here for both sides. -1.5 for Tulsa at home. You got to think a little bit of that BOK home field advantage. It's probably part of it. +1.5 for the underdogs on the road for the Sharks. We have an over-under of 90.5, so they are expecting quite a bit of points in this one. And our money line +114 for the Sharks on the road, -135 for Tulsa at home. BOK Center in beautiful Tulsa, Oklahoma is our venue of choice. 7 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff, again on overnight. So we'll see how this one goes. And our series head-to-head does favor Jacksonville. So there is some serious history here of Jacksonville claiming some victories. Week 9, they met earlier this year with Jacksonville pulling out a 7-point victory, 41-34. And that was in Jacksonville. This one's the return trip to Tulsa. So with that, we need to go take a look at our 25-man roster, our bet, and our prediction. And we got to move on with our final 2 previews after all of these. All right, let's take a look at the 25-man rosters as they are on the screen in front of us, as we always do. The away side first. Sammy Edwards and Matt Considine are going to be your quarterbacks, with Edwards being the starter, Considine being the backup. We'll see if there's any difference in that. Considine, I don't think, has played a snap, so we'll see how it goes. Running back is Jimmy Robinson, as aforementioned, rusher, receiver. He is really, really good in the return game, too, so do-it-all kind of guy. Receivers include Markel Wade, Red Douglas, Jaden Stoshak, Christian Horn, and Marcus Rogers. That wide receiving room looks really, really good. We'll see if Christian Horn can get in there. Marcus Rogers has been playing really well. Markel Wade, obviously, and Jaden Stoshak. I mean, even Red Douglas. I mean, take your pick between any of those guys. They've all contributed at some point, except, well, maybe Christian Horn, because I don't think he's played yet, but he has been good in the past. Baraka Beckett, Joseph Carter, Dante Lucas, and Kenny Furman are your offensive linemen. It's going to be Beckett, Lucas, and Furman, barring anything different. Joseph Carter will probably suit up, play special teams, get in there if anyone needs a breather. Your typical substitute on the offensive line. Defensively, Chris Rice, Andre Carter coming off of the exempt list, or I think refused to report, one of the two. Devontae Davis, Jalen Williams, and D'Amico Rowland to round it out. So Andre Carter, we'll see if he slots into the starting lineup at all. Otherwise, it's probably going to be Rice, Devontae Davis, and probably either Jalen Williams or D'Amico Rowland. I think it's been Williams lately with Rowland on the other side. I can't. Brain's foggy. I do apologize, but yeah, if Andre Carter suits up, we'll see how that kind of goes. 6'4", 285 out of Indiana. Yeah, he's a beast, man. We'll see how it kind of goes. Linebackers include Isaiah Major and Michael Moore. How they kind of had it for the first drive or the first defensive possession is I believe Moore was the starting linebacker, or Major was the starting linebacker, and then he eventually dropped into the secondary with Moore coming in as the linebacker as the game progressed in Jacksonville's last game. So we'll see if it's more of the same with that, or if they have a single linebacker, either Major or Moore. I can see Major dropping back into the secondary if they need it. Speaking of that, Clay Fields, Rudy Silvera, John Huggins, Dylan Brown, and Robert Jones III in that secondary. Again, we'll see if Isaiah Major joins them. Otherwise, it's probably Clay Fields, Rudy Silvera, John Huggins, and probably Robert Jones as your starting four. Kind of see how it goes. Your kicker is Mark Orozco. He is off of short-term injured reserve to help out in that kicking game. To the Tulsa side of things, TJ Edwards and Draylon Ellis are your quarterbacks, with TJ Edwards being your starter, Draylon Ellis being your kick returner. Your jack-of-all-trades kind of guy. He will be the backup as well. Running back includes Caleb Ramseur. Again, no depth there, so he's got to be the guy to go at that running back spot. Not to be outdone, though, your wide receivers include Jermaine Smith, T.J. Davis, Katron Jackson Jr., Mike Kerrigan coming off a short-term injured reserve, and, oh, look at that, an old face, Spencer Tiers for his third go-around this season for Tulsa. He's been cut and signed multiple times already. Here's another go about it. Maybe it's for the playoff push. I'm not sure. But to round that out, Kerrigan will do some jet sweeps in that running back spot as well if they need to. He's also a very good return man, so it's nice to have him back from short-term injured reserve. Offensive line includes Landon Burton, Terrence McLean, Brandon Baldwin, Justin Redd, and Dejon Carroll. I believe Landon Burton is also off of short-term injured reserve as well. So again, more depth for that offensive line. We'll see how it goes and who they start. Like I said, it's kind of a plethora of how they've gone. I've seen Justin Redd start. I've seen Brandon Baldwin start. Terrence McLean has kind of been the mainstay. I think Landon Burton has two. So I think those top two guys are for sure it. It wouldn't shock me if it's Baldwin, Redd, or Carroll as that third one, but we'll see. Defensive line includes Stephen Parker, John McMullen, and Devin Brandt Epps. We'll see how that goes. If they need Marquez Bembry to drop down there to the defensive line, how they kind of go about that. Otherwise, it's those three guys to take the mantle. Linebackers include Trinelius Tatum and Marquez Bembry. Again, Tatum probably going to start there. Bembry could. He might be on the defensive line, or if they shake things up like they used to do, Trey Harvey could be that linebacker. Because when you look at the secondary, Tariq Bracy, Alfonso Taylor, Justin Harrington, Mark Shepard, Trey Harvey, and Matt Elam. Yes, that Matt Elam, the former first-round pick of the Baltimore Ravens. He's been over from Massachusetts to San Antonio, now over here to Tulsa. He's been with Tucson as well. He's been all over. Pretty much name an IFL team he hasn't played for. So if he's a starter, if he's good to go, we'll see how he goes into that secondary and how they kind of go about rounding that out. Finally, your kicker is Axel Perez, and that is your 25-man roster for your Tulsa Oilers. That was your 25-man roster for your Jacksonville Sharks, and with that, we need to go take a look at our bet and our prediction and round this one out, and we got two more previews to take care of after this. All right, we need to take a look at our bet and our prediction for this one, and I'm going for points. I'm going over 90.5 on this one because I'll be honest with you, I don't know. This game to me can go either way. It truly can, because I can see an instance where Jacksonville is able to pull this one out. They've regrouped. They've come off their bye week, just like Tulsa's come off their bye week, and they've gotten better. You know, I know you're not allowed to practice on your bye week, but you know, instilling the game plan, looking at film, doing things like that. Is Jacksonville finally able to kind of get off of it? Tulsa, can they continue their winning ways? I can see either side winning this one. And I think this is a game that Vegas, the casino, has really, really pinned down. You know, that little spread, the over-under having a lot of points. I do think both offenses are going to eat in this one. Not to say that the defenses are bad or anything like that, but truly I think these offenses have a really nice go at it. Because when you look at Jacksonville's offense, it's going to come down to, can Sammy Edwards sling it to the wide receivers? Can they get Jimmy Robinson going even in the out of the backfield in the passing game? How do they attack that defense? For Tulsa's defense, it's going to be, how do you stop a multifaceted offense? Well, they do it in practice, because you have to deal with TJ Edwards, you have to deal with Caleb Ramseur, and you have to go up against Jermaine Smith. So maybe the under is the play here, but I'm going over because I like points. When you look at the other side, though, Tulsa's offense, like I said, you've got Jermaine Smith, you've got Caleb Ramseur, even bringing back Mike Kerrigan, even bringing back Spencer Tierce. How does that offense kind of look? And that defense, it's, again, you're bringing in Andre Carter on that defensive line. You've got the multi-linebackers between Moore and Major, whoever plays there. One's probably going to drop back into the secondary. Are they going to be able to lock down Jermaine Smith? I don't know. That to me is going to be a huge game. Huge game plan is, can you lock down Jermaine Smith on one side, and then can you lock down Jimmy Robinson on the other? And how does that leave the other players open? Are you able to get it to Markel Wade or Marcus Rogers? Are you able to get it out to Caleb Ramseur and have him run the ball? Is TJ Edwards, the running quarterback, going to be good? Is Sammy Edwards, the quarterback, going to be good, at least in the running games? I don't know. My prediction for this one, 48-43. I've got Tulsa winning. And that barely scrapes the over. That's 91 points, because I truly don't know. I don't. This is the game that has stumped me the most when it comes to trying to make a bet, when it comes to picking a winner. This is just, I think throughout the entire season practically, this is just one of these games where I'm just scratching my head, because I feel like this is a game, no matter what you pick, it will be wrong. If I've got a pick of over 90.5 and someone else has a pick of under 90.5, somehow, some way it'll hit 90.5. Somehow they'll have the rules changed to allow half points, and that's how we have it. So I don't know. I can see an instance where Jacksonville wins this one, but I'm picking Tulsa just because of home field advantage, just because of the winning streak, just because they've got the things going for them. I think there are a couple of issues that Jacksonville has to kind of work on, but not really many issues. It's not like they're a full-fledged dumpster fire or anything, because they're not. They've hit a losing streak. Plenty of teams this season have hit losing streaks. Tulsa's been able to make the most of their winning streak. There was a point in time where Tulsa looked like they were dead in the water, and they've come back from that dead in the water and risen out like the creature from the Black Lagoon. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm picking Tulsa. I'm picking points because I want it. And like I said, 48-43 barely hits that over. Maybe there's some more points to be had, but I do expect a back and forth affair here. We'll see how it goes. You look at the kicking, Axel Perez, Mark Orozco, are they going to hit deuces, field goals, how that goes? Can that pertain to it? You got Kerrigan against Robinson in the return game. Are there good kick returns? Are there going to be kick return touchdowns? How do we go about it? I do not know. I'm sorry. I just do not have a good gauge on this game. I don't, because both these teams are very good in their own right. We'll see. But overall, over 90.5, 48-43 in favor of it could be 48-43 in favor of Jacksonville, but unfortunately I picked Tulsa in this one. So, like I said, either way, I'm not shocked if Jacksonville wins. But that's where we have it. Let's go take a look at our next preview. All right, preview number 4. And this one has very heavy playoff implications for these two teams. We have an 8 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff on overnight. The 7-7 Fishers Freight, 3-4 on the road, traveling to Quad City, who are 5-8 and 4-2 at home. Both these teams are on the outside looking in, and this could, a loss for either team could pretty much dismantle, disrail, whatever, derail. No pun intended for Fishers. Or sink Quad City, whatever. If Quad City loses this game, they're out. Quad City cannot take another loss the rest of the season. They need to win the rest of their games, and hope to God Tulsa loses the rest of theirs to have any shot, including Fishers losing as well, to have any shot of the playoffs. Fishers, if they lose this game and Tulsa and Orlando win theirs, then Fishers is out, and the final 2 spots in the East are clinched. Even Quad City winning this game, they're not out of it. But if Tulsa and Orlando both win, Quad City's eliminated. Simple as that. So it's just, there's a lot of factors that factor in with other games, including this one. So we'll see how it goes. Taking a look at our season leaders here for both sides. For Fishers, Felix Harper, 150 of 208, 1,529 passing yards, 29 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. Daquan Neal for Quad City, 160 of 270, 1,853 passing yards, 36 touchdowns to 13 interceptions. Dominic Roberto, 106 rushing attempts, 550 rushing yards, and 20 rushing touchdowns. And Daquan Neal, 104 rushing attempts, 432 rushing yards, and 8 rushing touchdowns. Taking a look at the receivers for both sides, C.J. Wyndham, 44 catches, 466 yards, and 9 receiving touchdowns. And Kean Williams for the Steamwheelers, 51 catches, 673 receiving yards, and 19 receiving touchdowns. As we take a look at the injury report here, not much to report. There are some guys we'll talk about in the 25-man roster who have been removed and added to the roster. We'll talk about that in a second. But Jaron McGaw has been added for Fishers. Not really much else. And for Quad City, Ivan Corbin and Devin Hayes have been added. So a couple of guys come off, a couple of guys go on. Simple as that. Let's take a look at the game odds here presented by DraftKings. We have -6.5 for Fishers. So not a heavy favorite, but almost a touchdown favorite for the Freight. And an over-under of 86.5. So they're expecting a moderate amount of points. -230 to the money line for Fishers Freight being the favorite. And +190 if you want Quad City as the home upset. Again, we are at Vibrant Arena at the Mark. I only get like one more chance to say that this season, so yeah, dang. 8 p.m. Eastern Time on overnight from Moline, Illinois. This should be a very entertaining game. And our series head-to-head favors Quad City, which I had to go back and look at this. I thought Fishers had the series edge, but Quad City leads 2-1, with Fishers being the last one to get a victory in this one. This is the first time these two teams have met all the way back since week 1, which is crazy. This is the very first game of the season when Fisher is getting the victory 45-27 and kind of putting the clamps down, and he really started to get that feeling like Fishers was a team of destiny, and it made me feel really good with my preseason predictions, and they've kind of fallen by the wayside a little bit. But for Quad City, this is a chance at redemption, a chance to kind of finish the season strong. You're not out of the playoffs just yet. You still have an opportunity. For Fishers, kind of the same thing. You want that playoff spot. You want this victory. And if you can get that and put even more pressure on Orlando or Tulsa, depending on how their games go, we'll see how it kind of pertains to it. But that's where we have it with this. Let's go take a look at our 25-man rosters, our bet, and our prediction. And we got one more preview to take care of after that. All right, taking a look at the 25-man rosters here for both sides. For the Fishers Freight, Felix Harper, Davis Black are your quarterbacks. Harper's going to be your starter. Black will be your backup. Running backs include Dominic Roberto and Josiah King. King most likely to be the starter, with Roberto being the backup. We'll see how that kind of pertains to it and how they go about it, but both will most likely suit up. They'll play special teams. They'll trade off in the backfield and go about it like that. Wide receivers include Isaiah Coulter, C.J. Wyndham, Jalen Green, and Jordan Davis. Jalen Green coming off of short-term injured reserve to help out that wide receiving room as Jared McGaugh got put on it, as we noticed earlier. Offensive line includes Cordell Brewster, LaQuinston Sharp, Jeremiah Rogers, and Nevada Donaldson. Most likely going to be Brewster, Sharp, and Donaldson, but don't be surprised if Rogers gets the start over Brewster. Vice versa, we'll see how it kind of goes, but Sharp and Donaldson are your mainstays. Brewster's probably the other main guy. We'll see. Defensive line includes Jalen Swan, Leon Smalls, Nicholas Lennon, and Darius Long. Again, we'll see how it kind of pertains to it. Swan, Smalls, and Long have been starters for a long time. Lennon has gotten a start or two throughout the season. We'll kind of see how it goes, but it wouldn't shock me if Lennon is the substitute, with Swan, Smalls, and Long being the starters. Linebacker is Marcus Gray, who is off of short-term injured reserve to help out. And then in the secondary, Donnie Lewis, Drake Johnson, Renaria Dilworth, Jaden Rowe, Ja'Cory Benjamin, and Devin Williams. So 6 of those guys, 4 of them are going to start. Probably going to be Lewis, Rowe, probably Ja'Cory Benjamin, maybe Devin Williams, maybe Drake Johnson gets the start. Who knows? But all I know is that you've got your pick of the litter when it comes to that. So we'll see. Your kicker is Callum Sutherland, and that's your 25-man roster for your Fishers Freight. To the Quad City side of things, DeQuan Neal and Judd Roberts are your quarterbacks. I think DeQuan Neal's good to go. I'm not sure. Judd Roberts did play in their previous game. He was the starter, and then they had to bring in Ivan Corbin. So we'll see how that kind of goes and who gets the actual start. My money's probably on DeQuan Neal, but I'm not shocked if Judd Roberts breaks the huddle as the starting quarterback. Running backs include Trenton Barnes and Jared Ware. Ware most likely going to be the starter, with Barnes being the backup, kind of your special teams guy. Wide receivers include Sterling Galvin, Kean Williams, Jazarick Peterson, Kevon Rudd, and Jordan Vesey is off of a short-term injured reserve. So we'll see how much he is good to go, or how well he is good to go if he's 100%, and how that pertains to the starting lineup, because for the most of it, it's been Williams, Peterson, and Rudd. Does Vesey get in there? Does he get his starting job back? Has he been Wally pipped? I'm not sure. And we'll see what happens with Sterling Galvin, too. Offensive line includes Joe Crowell, Edward Gatling, and Matthew Kickle to round it out. No depth there. No 3 got to go unless something happens. Charles Roster, Donnell Brown, Keyshawn Moore, Chemadunga, and Rashawn Williams are your defensive line. It's probably going to be Roster, Moore, and Williams. Wouldn't shock me, or even Dunga. It wouldn't shock me if Donnell Brown gets a start. We'll see how it kind of goes. Again, they've kind of rotated these guys throughout the season. Linebackers include Alex Harriott, who is back off a long stay on short-term injured reserve, and Stephen Adair for that linebacker spot too. So if Harriott's good to go, we'll see how it kind of goes with that. Secondary includes KJ Trujillo, Kevin Ransom II, Nicholas Harris, Malik Duncan, and Cameron Harrell for that defensive back spot. Again, it's probably those bottom four with Trujillo being your sub. It's kind of been that way practically all season. Last but not least, Nolan Krinsky is your kicker, and that is your 25-man roster for your Quad City Steamwheelers. That was your 25-man roster for your Fisher's Freight. And with that, we need to go take a look at our bet and our prediction. And then wrap that one up and take care of our final preview. All right, so bet and prediction time for this one. I changed my pick on Shady Sports. This will be my official pick, and I've got reasonings to change my pick here. I'm still going -6.5 for Fishers. Now, on Shady Sports, I changed this to +6.5 for Quad City, and my reasoning behind that is because Fishers likes to run the ball, and Quad City's got a pretty good run defense. You know, it's the pass defense that's given up yards and has gotten behind the defense and stuff like that. Now, I would go +6.5 for Quad City. I still might, but I'm not going to switch my pick over here. So, Alec, my terrific triumphant man, -6.5 for this one. Not my triumphant pick, sorry. Or Trevor Reedham. I know he hates when I do that. Either way. -6.5 for Fishers. That's my official pick. I know I said it on Shady Sports a +6.5, but this one's my official pick. I'm not changing it. The reason why is I think Fishers is still a better team. I think Quad City can get after it. I do expect them to play tough. But -6.5 sets it up just nicely for a touchdown victory. And so I like that idea. If Quad City loses by a touchdown, Fishers is able to cover. So I do like that. I don't know how I feel about over-under because both teams do like to run the ball a little bit. Quad City more or less passes more than they run it. But again, I am at the thought of who starts a quarterback. Is DeQuan Neal truly 100% good to go? How do we kind of go about that? And then how does Fishers' defense equate to Quad City's offense? Because you can take week one and throw it completely out the window. I'm not looking at that at all. What I'm looking at here is how does this team in Fishers stop whatever passing game that they have in Quad City? Because at the very beginning, Kean Williams looked really, really good. He's kind of tapered off a little bit, and they have not really gotten anyone, minus really Kevon Rudd, going in that passing game. They've had to cycle through different wide receivers. Jazarick Peterson's had to come in partway through the season. He's looked decent. Jordan Vesey's been hurt. How do they kind of go about that? Jared Ware has looked like a shell of his former self in this season, and it kind of sucks. It's been very disappointing all around for the Steamwheelers. Can Fishers take advantage of that? I'm not sure. My prediction for this one, 48-41. I think Fishers gets the victory in this, and I think they're able to run the ball a little bit better. We'll see if that three-headed monster with Roberto, King, and Harper can get going, and can they wear down Quad City's defense? Because we know if you can get Quad City's defense on their heels, they can give up some points. We've seen it multiple times throughout this season. I think Fishers is going to take a long look, and yes, they lost, but I think Fishers is going to take a long look at how Green Bay played this team and how they want to attack that rushing game and how they go about it. Now, if Quad City is able to pull out that victory, it's because they've shut down that rushing game of Fishers. Can they do it? Can you do it for 60 minutes? Because what might look good in the first and second quarter could be something that wears you down in the third and fourth, with Fishers eventually pulling out a victory. I'm not necessarily sure. And again, this is one of these games where it could go either way. There's a reason why the spread is what it is, and there's a reason why the points are what they are. I truly think Fishers can get a victory here. I'm not shocked if Quad City wins. And if they do, it means DeQuan Neal has played one of the best games of the season because he's back to 100%. He's making the right decisions. Kean Williams is popping off. Jordan Vesey can't be covered. Kevon Rudd's doing well, and Jared Ware is catching out of the backfield and running the ball really well. I don't know if I necessarily see that with Marcus Gray coming back at linebacker and how the secondary has been for Fishers. We'll see. Alex Harriott coming back at the linebacker spot for Quad City could actually help them, could potentially hurt them. I'm not necessarily sure. Again, it's one of those questions of, is Alex Harriott 100%? Because he's been injured for quite a while. So we'll see how it kind of goes. But right now I got -6.5. I'm not going to change it. I know I changed it on Shady Sports, but boo me. -6.5 here. That's my bet. 48-41 in favor of the Freight. So that's where we have it. Let's go take a look at our final preview. All right, final preview of our Saturday slate of action. It's a rivalry renewed again, but this time we do have some playoff implications in this one as well. We have a 9 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff on Yahoo Sports. That's Eastern time. It says at the very top. I don't know why I didn't add the ET, but it's Eastern time, 9 p.m. Set your clocks accordingly. We have the 6 and 7 at Tucson Sugar Skulls, 2 and 4 on the road, taking on the Arizona Rattlers, 9 and 5 overall, 6 and 1 at home. Yeah, it's going to be a doozy for this one, especially for Tucson, who wants to obviously clinch that final playoff spot, but they do have San Antonio just kind of hanging around, and you'll probably know the outcome of the San Antonio game before this game even kicks off. So maybe there's a little added firepower before this one kicks off. Who knows? But Arizona in their own right, waiting for tomorrow, depending on San Diego and Vegas and how that game goes. If Arizona wins this one, they're just right back in the thick of it when it comes to that home playoff spot with the 1 or the 2 seed, which I don't know if they'll get the 1 seed, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities. I think there needs to be a lot of help, but I think they have an opportunity still. Either way, heavy playoff implications here, especially in the West. Season leaders for both sides here. Jerome Johnson, 136 of 231, 1,541 passing yards, 32 passing touchdowns to 12 interceptions. And Max Myler, your leading passer, 128 of 196, 1,499 passing yards, 29 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. Hey, look, the rushing leaders, they're the same as the passing leaders. Jerome Johnson, 69 of 391, 7 touchdowns. 69 rushing attempts, 391 rushing yards, and 7 rushing touchdowns. My God, my brain is fried. Max Myler, 71 rushing attempts, 296 rushing yards, and 13 rushing touchdowns. Taking a look at our receiving leaders for both sides, Javian Lofton, 24 catches, 431 receiving yards, and 9 receiving touchdowns. And Arlen Bruce, 69 catches, 400, my God, I told you my brain is fried, 873 receiving yards, and 15 receiving touchdowns. So he only needs, 127 receiving yards to break 1,000, and 31 catches to break 100. So he might not get the receptions, but he can definitely break 1,000 yards between now and the end of the season. Let's look at the injury report here. Only one for Tucson, Theo Majet. Yeah, that's a name I haven't heard in a while. Former Arizona Rattler himself. I think he was with the Pirates as well at one point back in Massachusetts. He is a veteran of the game. He has been signed and then put on short-term injured reserve. And for the Rattlers, a couple of additions here. Jalen Bass on the defensive line has been added, and Clifton Duck, the former San Antonio Gunslinger, Vegas Nighthawk, Sioux Falls Storm. I mean, he's been around. He has been signed and added to the short-term injured reserve list as well. Let's take a look at our injury report, our game odds. I told you again, my brain is fried. DraftKings is our betting partner here, minus 13.5 for the Arizona Rattlers, plus 13.5 for Tucson on the road, with an over-under of 84.5, plus 425 to the money line if you want the away upset. And if you want a lot of money for a little bit of return, minus 575 for the Rattlers at home. They are, again, 6-1 at home, so there's a reason why the home field advantage probably plays a little bit into that spread. We are at Desert Diamond Arena in Glendale, Arizona. Again, 9 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff on the Yahoo Sports Network. This one will be kicking off after Green Bay and Iowa. So it's your doubleheader here. You'll have a doubleheader on Saturday, which we'll preview those at a later time. Our series head-to-head does favor the Rattlers 12-5. But more recently, Tucson's been knocking off some wins here. I think at one point it was, 9 or 10-0 or maybe 9 or 10-1 or something like that in favor of the Rattlers, and Tucson has started to make some strides here when it comes to the head-to-head. They did get the victory the last time these two teams met, Week 15, with them winning 35-28. So they've been clicking off some wins here in the last couple of years. We'll see if that's par for the course or if Arizona gets back to their winning ways. But with that, we need to go take a look at our 25-man rosters, our bet and our prediction, and then closing thoughts, and we'll get out of here. All right, let's take a look at the 25-man rosters as they are over our face here. For the away side, Jerome Johnson and Dewan Mathis are your quarterbacks, with Johnson most likely being the starter. Dewan Mathis he's been on special teams. He's been the backup quarterback. He's kind of doing it all too. But we'll see how that kind of pertains to it. But Johnson most likely being the starter. Running backs include Brandon Mackey and TD Ayoderajaye. And honestly, Mackey's been playing pretty well, but TD Ayoderajaye, he's been playing pretty well too, even in the special teams category, even returning kicks, if I'm not mistaken, running the ball. He's been pretty durable, all things considered. Wide receivers include Javian Lofton, JoJo Earl, Jerron Waters, Justin McGriff, and Terrell Brown. Take your pick, man. Javian Lofton is your leading receiver. Jerron Waters has played well. Justin McGriff has as well. Terrell Brown. And even JoJo Earl has gotten in on the action. So I'm curious to see how they suit everyone up. But probably Lofton, Waters, and McGriff, unless anything changes. Offensive line includes Q Baker, Deshaun Jackson, Bayo Kanike, and Michael Todd Jr. Starters most likely Baker, Jackson, and Todd Jr., with Kanike being a backup special teams type player. Defense includes Rafiq Abdul-Wahid, Tyke's Legs, De'Amin Brooks, and Isaac Anderson. Again, probably Abdul-Wahid, probably Legs, and probably Brooks as your starters, with Anderson being your sub, but he does play pretty well as that super sub. Linebackers include Benari Black and Deshaun Davis. I think Black was the last one to get the start. I can't remember if it was him or Davis, but they both have kind of traded off starts throughout the season. But it doesn't shock me either way of who gets the start here, because they both play pretty well. Defensive secondary includes Breon Murray, Ahmad Lyons, Aaron Jackson, Malik Sanye, and Zach Torodowski. All five most likely will suit up. We'll see how it kind of goes, with the top four probably being the starters. Torodowski has started. He has started in the past, but it wouldn't shock me if it's Murray, Lyons, Jackson, and Sanye to round it out. Your kicker is Ben Woodard, and that's your 25-man roster for your Tucson Sugar Skulls. To the Arizona side of things, Drew Powell and Max Myler are your quarterbacks. Most likely Max Myler to be the starter, with Powell being the backup. That's what I'm leaning towards. Most people probably are too, but we'll see. I think that's how it's going to go. Kymani Clark and Ron Brown are the running backs. Ron Brown to be the starter, Clark to be the backup. But he will get in the action when he needs to, if he does suit up. Wide receivers include Sergio Moranci, Trey Odoms-Dukes, Corey Reed, Arlen Bruce, Keenan Hambrick, and Jaden Horace. It's quite a bit of wide receivers. You start three of them, you probably carry another one if I'm not mistaken, especially if you're taking Kymani Clark. So it's probably Odoms-Dukes, Corey Reed, and Arlen Bruce. And it wouldn't shock me if it's Keenan Hambrick. But we'll see if Moranci gets in or if Horace plays, how it kind of goes. But it could be those middle four as your the top three starters, with Dukes, Reed, Bruce, Hambrick being the backup. We'll see. Offensive line includes Jameis Kimbrough, Jake Parks, Q McBroom, and Christopher Straughter. I believe in the last game it was Kimbrough, Parks, and Straughter as your starters. McBroom, I can't remember if he suited up and played at all, but it wouldn't shock me if they go four offensive linemen, with one being the sub. Defensive line, only three to speak of, but we'll talk about Hayden Hatcher in a second. John Pius, Carson Taylor, Joshua Ellison, and probably Hayden Hatcher on that defensive line as well. So you go to the linebackers, Hayden Hatcher right there with Don Willis. Willis is probably going to be the starting linebacker. Hatcher will play either starting on the defensive line or play sparingly and work his way in as a substitute, with those top three, Pius, Taylor, and Ellison, being the starters, or maybe Pius opting out, Taylor being the starter with Ellison and Hatcher, how it kind of goes. Secondary includes Darmaine Dobbs, Devontae Merriweather, Yasin McKee, Otjo So, and Carl DeCius. We'll see how it kind of pertains to it, but Otjo So has kind of been the odd man out, with Dobbs, Merriweather, McKee, and DeCius being your four starters in that secondary. Finally, your kicker is Matthew Cook. Now it's your 25-man roster for your Arizona Rattlers, your 25-man roster for your Tucson Sugar Skulls. And with that, we need to go take a look at our bet and our prediction. And then we wrap it up. We get out of here. All right, we need to take a look at our bet and prediction for this one. And again, nightcap, I don't really know if I trust it, because I don't know what kind of team Tucson we're going to have. Give me over 84.5. Give me some points in this one. If Tucson's offense is able to be worth their salt with Jerome Johnson, maybe they make a little bit of a fool of Arizona. If not, it could be something where they try and make a little bit of a comeback late and do a little bit of a backdoor cover and hit that over. Either way, I think Arizona's kind of priming themselves up a little bit for their playoff run and trying to get hot at the right time here. There's a reason why the spread is the way it is. Tucson's fallen a little bit back down to earth from getting back into the thick of things. I just think Arizona's more equipped, but what we've seen and what Arizona was capable of doing against San Diego last week, that over can hit. And if Arizona wants to have that offensive firepower and have the defense that's able to turn the ball over and turn the interceptions into touchdowns or anything like that, or even have kick returns return for touchdowns like they have in the past, then that's going to help us out. Points. Let's go over when it comes to this. When we break it down, how well is Tucson's offense going up against that defense? That secondary is deadly of Arizona. I mean, it is deadly. So is it something where Arizona can clamp down on any sort of passing game, try and make Jerome Johnson stay in that pocket until that defensive line or that linebacker is able to come after him? How well is Jerome Johnson going to be able to improvise? Is it something where it starts to get into his head, and when that happens, he starts to kind of make a little bit of mistakes? He's prone to throw the ball to the other team. He's prone to try and do it all himself on certain plays, and sometimes it comes to bite him in the ass. Sometimes it works out majestically for him. So either way, I've said it the entire season. I've said it in the past. There are plays that Jerome Johnson has that make you go, what was that? And then there's plays that make you go, what was that? And I don't see any difference here. On the flip side, with Max Myler taking the helm back at quarterback, you've seen a little bit more of, I wouldn't say competent, but the offense seems to be clicking a little bit more. And I think that has really helped Arizona. They've gotten back to their winning ways here, and being able to have that chemistry with the wide receivers and what Max Myler's been able to do to sling it around, having the running backs with Clark and Brown, and even Myler having to run when he needs to, having that big bruising body as well. I think the offense going up against that defense is probably a little bit more suited than vice versa, as we just mentioned. So I do think Arizona is going to be able to take this victory. My prediction for this one, 49-41. I think it is a nice little back-and-forth affair. And you're looking at, 90 points right there. So it's a little bit to the over, but if we are able to do that, that does give us a little bit of some work around. If Arizona's defense does hold Tucson to 30-something, that can allow Arizona to get up into the 50s. And if we go kind of close with it, we'll see how this game can kind of go. But I think this one can be close, man. I'm predicting Tucson to kind of cover, but I am not shocked if Arizona does win by 14. If it's another one of those things where they go bang bang at the end of the first half with their time management, and then coming out of the second half they're able to score again and kind of maintain that 7 to 14 to 21, whatever the deficit is, if they're able to increase that from first half to second half, more power to them. But I do think that, what Arizona has, they could be peaking at the right time. With a couple of weeks left in the season, and they do have a bye week in the very last week of the season. Imagine that. They've done it multiple times. Regardless, I think Arizona is just a little bit more equipped. I will be shocked. I'm not going to lie. I will be shocked if Tucson does pull out this upset, but there is that possibility. Tucson wins. They've done it before. But that's where we have it. Over 84.5. Let's go points. Let's go touchdowns. 49-41 in favor of the Rattlers. Let's go wrap up. Let's get out of here. And that is it for our preview of Saturday's Week 18 action. A lot of games, man. A lot of stuff to talk about. And I'm getting this out right before kickoff, so I do apologize. It seems like it happens every week, and it will be something I have to address to myself in the offseason of how I want to go about these and do my previews. So, yeah, it's definitely not lost on me, but I will keep this short and sweet. If you want to like, comment, share, subscribe, great. If you don't, great. I'll catch you guys in the next ones. We got Saturday's previews, and we have all the recaps to take care of, and I've got a very, very busy couple of weeks coming up in the final couple of weeks of the regular season. But until then, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. I'll catch you in those previews. Let's go watch some football. Let's do it. See ya.